1,500 competitors in this tourney right here, and we have Hanamon is the name of the competitor down on our player perspective, so the bottom half of the screen, and then Marcoca is going to be on the top half. And so, just a word to the wise, as this footage does come from Ursiiday's Pocket Weekly tourney, the middle of the screen where you see essentially the gameplay footage is determined by the streamer, so if there's any kind of hiding the hand, or maybe if there's red on the outside, I don't know how I'm going to crop this exactly, but sometimes, I got to crop it and whatnot, but borders still show up on it, etc., etc. That's all the streamer's choice, and then the edits are mine just with the background. I provided the deck list for you for both of these competitors here on the right side, and then we'll also have highlight cards on the left like this Pikachu EX gearing up right now. Hanamon, actually, the interesting thing is we have covered this player one time before on Ursiiday's Pocket Weekly in the past, so Hanamon has actually been in the top 2 finalists before, but also their username in-game is actually the HANA, so Hana, and we actually just uploaded on this channel the previous 2 spectator commentaries were actually from Copa Rei dos Coins, this Brazilian tournament, and Hanamon comes from Brazil, so does Marcoca actually, although this particular tourney that we're watching right now was open to all competitors, but this does lead me to believe that that was the same Hana from that Brazilian tournament, the one that we just casted, so actually, presuming they're the same person, Hana was using then a Wigglytuff EX and Weezing deck. But right here, to finally get to the point I was making essentially was just that we did see that Pikachu EX on the bottom half, so that is clearly the deck that's being used, and very typical of the Pikachu EX deck. Now, the one thing to point out is just that Pincurchin, sometimes that's variable, like, okay, so somebody may use a regular Zapdos right there, not the EX, or somebody may use some other types of Pokemon. I've seen it before, actually, with Blitzel and Zebstrika. That's not as often and stuff, but Pincurchin in there, pretty good choice, honestly, just because you have the 2 energy for a chance at paralysis if it's heads, so decent card again. But anyway, we're going to be seeing, of course, Zapdos EX kind of did the first little bit of damage. The problem with, of course, Marcoca on the top is that there's just Ralts out right now, and this is very much the typical Mewtwo EX deck being used, but look at that, it's not even going to get used because Hana already going to win that first matchup right here for Game 1 in a best of 3 here in the finals for Ursiiday's Pocket Weekly. I believe this is number 6, you guys. Just happened over the weekend. That was soonest to this upload, most recent to this upload. We'll go ahead and get you guys that Game 2 coming up right now. And I know that we do all have higher hopes that this one will be at least a little bit more involved. Give the competitors a chance to play. It's interesting that Ralts was the only Pokemon that was available to Marcoca in that previous match because, again, that's very much the typical Mewtwo EX meta deck. There are the trainers, of course, but you're essentially going 2-2-2, Ralts, Kirlia, Gardevoir, 2 Mewtwo EX, and then they have one of the basic Mewtwo, so just the sort of stalling bodyguard Mewtwo, you could say. Probably better than baby Mewtwo, which some people call it. But of course, now, finally, you are seeing that Mewtwo EX hit the bench for Marcoca's side this time. Now, of course, opening up with the Zapdos EX, we got Promo Pikachu and now Pikachu EX for Hana down below, and then another one right here. So this is all stacking up very nicely in Hanamon's favor. We do have to be a little bit concerned just, how soon essentially will Marcoca's deck get the Gardevoir in play. Gardevoir is often the ticket to just kind of having this beastly Mewtwo that can be mostly unmatched, as Mewtwo EX, we should say, of course, with that side drive, because most of us know it has to take 2 psychic energy to actually pull off that attack, but if you have Gardevoir, it's not really going to matter. Gardevoir's ability is Psy Shadow, and you'll be able to take an energy from the energy zone and attach it to your active, which in that case would be Mewtwo EX, and you just naturally from your turn order get to place an energy, so you can continuously side drive for that massive damage. But anyway, we're looking at Hanamon's turn right now. They are, I was going to say they are opting for the Pikachu. The question is, do you want to peck with Zapdos and create pressure? But likely Hanamon is going to be putting the energy on the Pikachu EX. If you want to get that energy for Pikachu EX, it's got the full bench as it stands right now, and so here they go. I was saying it was likely, but this was the other kind of component to that. The other road you could go down right now is trying to bait this Ralts. Either it's going to get defeated or they're going to have to switch out on Marcoca's side, so you're kind of creating some pressure, even just doing that 20 damage with Peck for the Zapdos EX. So again, that's kind of the fork in the road, right? Were you wanting to charge up that Pikachu EX or not? And then look at this, that Ralts is going to evolve to Kirlia right here, and so that that does create now reverse pressure. You could say Marcoca saying, it's not going to get KO'd that easily. Same retreat cost, of course, of 1 energy. Now, when you do have Gardevoir, that would change to 2 energy. You got to be a little bit concerned about that, unless, of course, you have X Speed. Now, X Speed, I feel like it's like the best trainer card in the game right now in a lot of senses, just with how the meta is currently. Lots of time being taken to think about this decision right here, it seems. But, ladies and gentlemen, no doubt we actually do have a true match on our hands this time, I would say, just because last time, again, it was very baffling, but just to have the Ralts as the only Pokemon in play, that was so interesting. Once again, also to not even be able to evolve to Kirlia or anything before the match was over, so it was brutal. Professor's research, that PR goes down for Hana, and they do actually have a backup Zapdos EX, but then it's the Raichu right here, so Raichu with that Lieutenant Surge. Now, Hanamon's deck right now does have 1 Lieutenant Surge card, and that's okay. Like, we're kind of splitting hairs here at this point where it's like, you gotta think, do we want to prioritize, like Sabrina, you know, there's only 1 Sabrina card, that potion, do you want to include those in there, or is Lieutenant Surge really that valuable for you? And so the interesting thing is Lieutenant Surge is probably more niche than using like a Sabrina or a potion. You know, those can be used, potion obviously, quite a lot. I mean, you can really play that at any damage done, to be obvious here, but Sabrina, you know, that's pretty useful. It has a lot of prevalence in a lot of matches. Now, Lieutenant Surge, especially with this deck, there is no Electrode or anything, but you would want to use it on Raichu anyway. It's just, you've got the 2 Raichu in the deck itself, but that's the only card that it would be used for. So again, I can support Hanamon kind of developing the deck this way. Now you're gonna see, of course, Mewtwo EX, the epic alt art, or full art right there, I guess we could call it. It's gonna pull off that Psychic Sphere, 50 damage, nothing to sneeze at, even with Zapdos right now. And so, is Marcoca looking for revenge after that last match? We will see. Looking pretty good right now. I like that it's requiring our players to think right now. You just do have to wonder, you know, was it the right play to put the energy on the Zapdos, or were they kind of spreading energy too much? Again, I kind of supported it when it was just Ralts, but after the Kirlia, and then of course we do see Gardevoir pretty quickly afterwards. It's just, I mean, I guess it's turn 8, so maybe I shouldn't say super quickly or anything. It's just, again, sort of spreading the wealth now with that energy, quote unquote, but this is going to be rough. So they did let the Zapdos EX, it's going to perish because ultimately they could have piled the energy on Zapdos, you know, that's one pathway, but also if you are going to kind of support a different Pokemon, the Pikachu EX would have already been in here probably by now. So it's interesting. I mean, everybody can kind of hindsight 2020 a little bit, but there's some things that we all see in Pocket, I feel like, with its streamlined battle system. But here you go. Pikachu EX is going to be hitting that active spot now because Marcoca are going to take those 2 prize points, and it does look like, there it is. That is the concession right here, because you even got to think about if they had Raichu available, you know, it wouldn't beat that other Mewtwo. So there was 2 Mewtwo EX essentially for Marcoca's side. So yes, they will take game 2. You have to remember also, I think Marcoca actually did potion as we were kind of talking about other things. I'm trying to think with the math. Oh, I'm not quick on math right here, and I'm trying to commentate this game. That might have been a pretty big potion play right there on the Mewtwo EX, but hey, we'll see it. Anyway, game 3. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is a viewer and caster's dream. When these matches can go to a game 3, it just brings us more of, hopefully, the top level competitive play. Now, some people I know do get a little bit negative about the final sometimes in the comments, and you know, you have every right to, so I'm not blasting any of you. It's just some of y'all are like, hey, this is the final 2 competitors. Like, man, I could beat them easy. And so I always do encourage you guys to join these tournaments. I leave links usually in the top pinned comment so that you guys can sign up on limitlesstcg.com. And so look at that. The promo Mewtwo is going to be that bodyguard Mewtwo, you could call it, the meat shield staller. Beautiful. Love that Mewtwo card. So, ladies and gentlemen, Marcoca setting up pretty nicely right there on that first turn. You know, double Mewtwo's right now, 1 EX, 1 Staller. Ralts also kind of finding itself in that precarious position once again, being the active spot. But it's okay, you know, as long as nothing sneaky kind of happens right here. But at least this, just the way that these 2 decks are set up, you know, Zapdos is going to need plenty of energy to be doing more than 20. Does give you a little bit more time when Zapdos EX, once again, in that active spot, you know, we're almost getting a little deja vu here, at least with Hanamon's side, of course. And so, what do you guys think is going to to happen. Please feel free, if you like, to comment before the videos are over. I know probably not a lot of people, but feel free to put your predictions in the chat, in the comments. Who will take this Game 3 and win Ursiiday's Pocket Weekly? And so here you go. You're going to be throwing out that Mewtwo now, so probably a good choice, at least if you want just a little bit more beefiness. It's funny because Mewtwo, probably not a lot of beef except on the tail, maybe those thighs. Now I've already made it weird, so never mind. So right now, Zapdos, of course, gonna be retreating right here. Zapdos EX to now favor Pikachu EX, and with that Circle Circuit, gonna be a nice 90 damage in one fell swoop right here with a full bench on Hanamon's side, so it looks pretty good right now. Marcoca, obviously, that retreat cost of 2 energy is a little bit tough at this stage, just because you've already used one for Ralts for them to retreat, and so yeah, they really are probably looking for that Guardy play, because with Gardevoir in, at least we're going to kind of have the energy generation to fight back. If they don't have Gardevoir soon, though, you're going to be just behind on that, because Pikachu already, it's ready. You know, the Pikachu EX in our active spot for Hana down below. But then, okay, it's going to be a Sabrina play, actually. So that looks nice. In general, you know, you have to wonder, does Hana have like an X speed, something like that? Now, they could still draw it, of course, too. And then there's a Sabrina drawn right there. And yes, they do have the X speed ready in play for Hanamon's side. So that will take this Pikachu EX on out. Can retreat at 0 cost. Well, hey, it's the cost of the X speed, but you guys, until they maybe put a Switch card in this game, I don't know if they ever will, you know? Pocket, it may not be designed for such a thing, but they will actually go ahead and Sabrina here for Hanamon's side. They are looking to either get rid of the Kirlia or start taking out that Mewtwo EX, because that is obviously the ticket. Mewtwo EX, a little bit more health. That Kirlia would have been an obvious Oko, the one-hit KO, so that was probably the best choice. The only thing that is going to keep Marcoca in, I mean, it's really not looking great right now, would be that Gardevoir play. And so we'll see it. Gardevoir going to be on the bench right now. Be looking for that Psy Shadow. Now Mewtwo still, unfortunately, it does not have enough for that Psy Drive, even with the Psy Shadow ability from Gardevoir. So this is really not looking great. Again, if you are Marcoca right here, just a little bit behind, really. And so you saw even Hanamon also was already charging up the Raichu. So that's kind of a good play too, because you got to think like, all right, well, what if Pikachu EX did somehow get eliminated in this match? Now, we're talking a little bit before this moment. It was good to have Raichu, who can just do this crazy Thunderbolt for 140 damage. Give it just a little bit of energy at least to start it on its way towards that path, because a lot of the times you may need that clutch Raichu if it gets down to the wire. Maybe good play in a pinch, basically. So they are going to actually put an energy on Bodyguard Mewtwo. Maybe this is just for kind of looking in the future with this Mewtwo EX potentially fainting right here, which could come up soon. And that would, of course, get out this Pikachu EX. It's just, you know, at what cost already? You're seeing that Hanamon can really be generating this energy up. They've got the Raichu now with 2, and the Pikachu's all ready to go, of course. It's doing 90 damage already. And so, you know, that Mewtwo, it needed a lot more time, too, because it needs 4 energy to actually pull off the Power Blast. That's its move. And we're also, it's no kidding when you say, of course, not only is it that, but it has to discard 2 Psychic energy as well to use that. So kind of your slim down side drive a little bit, but yeah, it's just, it's really not looking good. I keep saying that, I guess, but I'm just trying to think of a way out right here, but Marcoca just seems to be cornered. You know, this is very, very difficult, and so the Psy Shadow gets you an energy, your turn, it's gonna get you that energy, but hey, this Pikachu right here in the active spot for Hanamon's side is just gonna deal 90 damage at the time, and so it's really looking tough. So yeah, it looks like they are gonna go ahead and retreat with that X speed. It does leave 1 energy right now. They're gonna put in Gardevoir, kind of the it will outlast, even with a Giovanni, it will outlast at least 1 turn right here against the Pikachu EX. A Zapdos maybe flipping plenty of coins would take it, a Raichu obviously would take it, and there's a Giovanni drawn right now. So look at this, Hanamon says, all right, you're gonna do this, hey, we're gonna get that last energy that we need, blow it all to pieces, and there you go. It's gonna be Gardevoir fainting, because Raichu for Hana gonna come in with that Thunderbolt, 140 damage, easily takes it on, and Hanamon is gonna be your winner for Ursiiday's Pocket Weekly in this tournament, and that makes Hanamon a 2-time winner of Ursiiday's Pocket Weekly. And so you guys, please check out the standings. We'll wait just a little bit for that so you can see what it took for everybody to get here, and then please click an end screen on screen, subscribe, like, all that stuff, and thanks for viewing.